welcome to my YouTube channel. Today I want to talk about alcohol and anxiety. So one of the most common reasons given for drinking is that it relieves stress. It could be the stress we feel at the end of a working day when we want to relax, or the stress caused by specific situations. For example, many people feel the first few minutes of a social occasion are somewhat stressful, particularly if it involves meeting new people or people we don't know very well. I think most people find travelling to be stressful, which is perhaps one reason why airport bars are always busy. Occasions like weddings can be fraught for some, particularly if there are family tensions from old disputes. I know that I found I used alcohol to unwind at the end of the day, whether that was in a hotel bar or if I was working away or at home. It seems undeniable that alcohol helps us to relax, but the truth is much more complex than that. Alcohol, a central nervous system depressant, alters brain chemistry and affects neurotransmitters, which contributes to its relaxing and sedative effects. However, the physiological impacts of alcohol are a double-edged sword, with short-term relief often followed by potentially long-term consequences. Our first drink can induce feelings of relaxation and euphoria, and that's due to dopamine and serotonin release as part of the reward pathway in the brain. It also reduces inhibitions due to its impact on the GABA receptors, leading to a calming effect on the brain. And the brain also blocks glutamate, an excitatory transmitter in the brain, which again also damps down our stress levels. However, to understand how these feelings evolve with time, we need to understand the effect of drinking on blood alcohol content, or BAC. That's the proportion of alcohol in the bloodstream. So the first drink that we take creates a feeling of euphoria as our BAC rises, and that lasts for about 20 minutes, maybe an hour if you're having some food with it. But all the time that the BAC is rising, the liver is busily trying to metabolize the alcohol to achieve homeostasis. And at some point the equilibrium point is passed and the BAC starts to fall. As it does, the opposite feelings of euphoria start to set in. Unease, anxiety, discomfort, tiredness, sadness and depression. And these feelings are nowhere as fleeting as the feelings of euphoria that may last up to 3 hours. There is, of course, if you have alcohol to hand, a way to remedy this. Hepatologists hate this one simple trick, which is to have another drink. And this will temporarily relieve the discomfort as your BAC is on the rise again. But what goes up must come down, and after another 20 minutes it will start to fall again. If we get on this roller coaster, we'll often ride it until we go to bed. So when we stop drinking, the body tries to recover its equilibrium, so it reduces GABA levels and increases glutamate. The unnaturally low level of GABA and the spike in glutamate increases anxiety, which is why some people report feelings of hangxiety, feeling really anxious at the same time as being hungover. Why don't we notice this? If we are drinking in the evening, we often juggle our BAC, so it only really starts to fall when we're asleep. My air quotes are because when we go to bed after drinking, we're not really falling asleep, according to sleep expert Dr. Matthew Walker. We are sedated. This means that the normal processes that occur when we fall asleep naturally are absent, and we spend the night in a kind of pseudo-sleep that does not deliver the benefits of normal sleep at all. The sleep is fragmented, and REM sleep, rapid eye movement sleep, is severely disrupted. And now REM sleep is a kind of overnight therapy that's very important for our health, emotional well-being and performance. You will perhaps have noticed that people could get really irritable when sleep deprived. I'm sure this will be familiar to you. I know it was for me. I would wake several times in the night feeling successively worse every time. I would often lie awake for hours thinking, why did you do this again? This was also very noticeable if I went for a drink at lunchtime. I found that even a couple of drinks with lunch would leave me listless and uncomfortable as the afternoon wore on. And the only solution always seemed to be to have a drink in the evening, which was just postponing the suffering until the night and the following morning. So yes, we feel that alcohol relaxes us, but it's a short-term fix that leaves us with the choice either to just have one drink, in which case we're going to start feeling even more stressed than before we drank, or keep drinking all night, which will rob us of our effective sleep that we needed to regulate our emotional state. Disrupted sleep is a known factor in exacerbating anxiety, creating a cyclical relationship where anxiety leads to alcohol consumption and alcohol consumption worsens anxiety through its impact on sleep. Neither of those choices is helping us deal with stress. Regular drinking also affects the balance of hormones in the body as it affects the hypothalamic pituitary adrenal axis, it's HPA axis, which is the main mechanism for stress regulation. Regular drinkers have been shown to have elevated levels of cortisol, and the slope of cortisol decline during the day is reduced. This is really bad news for the body and puts drinkers at increased risk of all kinds of health problems, including anxiety, depression, digestive problems, headaches, muscle tensions and pain, heart disease, heart attack, high blood pressure and stroke, sleep problems, weight gain, problems with memory and focus. So drinking alcohol reduces stress in the short term, but increases it in the medium term as the BAC drops, euphoria wears off and dysphoria kicks in, and in the long term due to its effect on the HPA axis. So far we've talked about the physical and neurochemical effects of alcohol on the body, but we also have to consider the psychological aspects. So firstly, if we're at the point where we're troubled by our relationship with alcohol, there's another reason to get stressed. The cognitive dissonance we feel with the two warring factions of our brain, one that wants to drink and one that doesn't. I know I used to lie awake feeling angry with myself for having drunk too much alcohol, or drunk on a day I'd intended to keep alcohol free, and worry about my health and why I was unable to keep my promises to myself. Secondly, if we start to use alcohol as the way that we routinely deal with stress, effectively giving alcohol that job to do for us, then we can lose the ability to deal with stress in any other way. For me, it was my go-to method of stress relief, and while I'm sure I understood that there were other ways of relieving stress, such as exercise, going for a walk, playing a game and so on, and I did all of those things at times, those methods required effort, and opening a can of beer seemed more instant and easier. Now, I don't think I was particularly vulnerable to stress. I would guess I was probably somewhere in the middle of the bell curve, but I do recall that before I became alcohol free, I would be more affected by a stressful day at work, by travelling. I used to do a lot of driving to and from business locations, or by any kind of interpersonal conflict. There are very few of us that can move through life with complete equanimity. Jack Cornfield, in his book After the Ecstasy, the Laundry, describes the ordinary struggles that even the most enlightened face. At a meeting of Zen masters, monks and meditation teachers hosted by the Dalai Lama, all confessed to dealing with the same struggles we all deal with: stress, depression, divorce, family conflict. So what are the alternatives to using alcohol to deal with stress? I think those come under two categories: practices to calm and self-soothe, and cognitive methods. The first category is highly individual. What may be wonderfully calming for one person might be frustrating and annoying for another. The things that work for me are walking, meditation, yoga, dancing, working out at the gym, and taking a long hot shower. The cognitive methods are what we teach people in our coaching sessions and are very congruent with Stoic principles. The basic method is to become aware of the thoughts and feelings that are troubling you, to understand how those thoughts and feelings are making you feel in the body and how they are making you behave, and finally to try different thoughts to see how that changes how we think and behave. It's also about accepting what we can and cannot change. There are other tactics for dealing with stress that I will explore in my blogs and social media posts, so be sure to subscribe and let me know if you have any questions. Thanks for watching.